Hey everyone, it's Emmanuel and my beautiful, amazing wife Jessica here. We just want to do a video for you guys because I promised I would, and it's based on the show Maid. So if you've seen the movie or the Netflix show Maid, comment below if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, probably don't watch this because we're going to be talking about episode 1, and we're going to go through all the episodes. In fact, we journaled the whole time. She's got her journal too. I have no idea what is in her journal, and she has no idea what's in my journal. We just literally just wrote down, and we put basically 10 years of experience with energy healing, also her experience with narcissism and the books that she's read, empowering empaths, and so we just want to add value to you guys. And she just recently told me that it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yeah. It's October, yeah. So I mean, perfect timing. And again, we realize this too, is that maybe some of you guys don't want to tag your friend. I'm going to try to make this public. So if you know someone that's going through this, obviously they had that website or link, and maybe we'll put it up there if you're dealing with it. But we understand you might not tag your friend who's going through it, or a friend might not write following and put a little period on there because maybe their husband will see it and be like, oh, she's ratting me out. You know, and so just go ahead and send this to someone. Just share. You can share it to them in a message, or you can. There's just other ways to do it, but we just don't want to get anyone in trouble, obviously. But we just want to add value to, if you're dealing with it, these tips will help you out, or if you've been through it, it'll definitely help you out as well. And so, if you want to kind of start off, Jess, and maybe kind of share some insights, and then we'll just kind of piggyback off each other. And again, we don't know what's written in our notebook, so.
Okay. Yeah. So the first thing that I want to talk about is abuse is abuse. Okay, so that was like so amazing on the first episode. If you watched it, the lady who's like the intaker that's like taking notes, typing it all up, she kept saying, okay, we need to call and report this. We need to call the cops and make a report. And she kept saying, if you notice, she kept saying, oh, he didn't actually abuse me, is what she would say. He didn't actually abuse me.
That's right.
He didn't actually hit me. And the lady keeps hearing her story, brief story. She didn't tell the full thing, just a little bit part about it. And the lady's like, yes, he did, like it's not always that, it doesn't have to be full on, leaving marks and anything like that. So that's,
basically emotional abuse is the same as physical abuse, right? Is that kind of what
yeah, but I mean, if someone, and it was so triggering watching it, but we'll get to that in a second, because I was that girl at one point in my life, having someone in your face, screaming at you, yelling at you, throwing things, you having to duck so it doesn't hit you, walls in the house dented, like every wall dented. It was so embarrassing, having to make up like excuses when people would come over. So yeah, that rage, breaking things, punching holes in walls, just out of control. It doesn't have to be, yes, emotional abuse is also for sure, when they're just like talking down to you, like things like belittling you, gaslighting you, all that kind of stuff. Yes, 100% is abuse. But it was just interesting how that girl, and I remember even thinking that too at one point, like, oh, he didn't actually this, or he didn't actually that, but yeah, 100% he did. So that was the first part.
It's almost like that's her defense mechanism for herself to keep staying in a relationship like that. It's almost like she had to excuse his behavior for so long that if someone calls out his behavior, she can keep excuse because she's used to that.
Right.
That's kind of what I kind of witnessed with that.
Yeah, and people stay for all sorts of different reasons, honestly. Like if you were to interview everybody, why did you stay for 10 years? Why did you stay for 8 years? Why did you stay for 20 years? Why did you stay for 30 years? Everyone has different stories why they stay. But it's just interesting that there's actually a book that I want to recommend, that if you're in this situation where you should leave and you can't leave, please read Women Who Love Too Much. It was an eye-opener for me. It helps you see why you're staying. It helps you see why you fell for that person, why the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 20th time that this stuff happens, why you're still staying. So it helped me like answer those kind of questions and things like that.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Thanks for and like I said, if she recommends a book, I would read it. And if you do, and some people aren't good at reading. Maybe you're more of an Audible person. I think there's an Audible to it as well.
Yeah.
What I wanted to kind of share is that I've had some clients that I've worked with over in 7 years. Obviously, I'm not going to put out anyone's name out there, but so obviously I would do emotion code, body code work, and do energy healing. And a lot of our emotional trauma not only sabotage our situation, but can also attract people that are the wrong people. In fact, in the body code, it's called broadcast messages. You ever seen that kid with the kick me, on their back from their shirt? Well, there's an actual real energetic thing that you might have that. But the first thing I want to share is that I feel like most women are scared due to finances. If you notice in the beginning, she's escaping her stability home, and she's leaving. Guess where she goes? Like nowhere. She's like, where do I go? Can't go to my mom's house. She's crazy. Like if you notice, she has nowhere to go, and that's why she ends up, where she is. And but something that I sometimes ask my clients, because what I try to do is I try to find a solution. I say, well, if money wasn't an issue, watch this. I say this question. I say, if money wasn't an issue, would you still be with him? And guess what the answer always is? No. For the most part, it's just like, no, if my kids were taken care of and I had a roof over my head, I would probably leave. So then I said, okay, so what if I made you like a magnet to attract the right job, attract the right business, so you can get out of that place and save your children? I've done that for plenty of clients. Now all of a sudden they left that relationship and they're a lot happier. So that's something that's just really important. It's like, one of my mentors told me, he says that whenever it's a money issue, it's just a situation. If it can be solved by a paycheck, just call it a situation. It's not a problem. A problem means that you can't solve it with a paycheck. So if you're like, yeah, my problem is that I don't have enough money, I can't leave my guy, that's not a problem. That's a situation. So it can be solved by a paycheck. So find a way to attract the paycheck so then you can solve that issue. So hopefully that helps someone out there. Maybe you want to go ahead and share something else?
Yeah, so kind of what you were saying too, another side note of that also, like if you are in the situation, you're not going to okay, this is not a right number. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. That may be way off. I would say maybe 8 out of 10 people will deny that they are the problem, that they are this way. Okay, it's going to be like, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't make me have done this, and blah 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 blah, like that whole thing. So I want you to know that if you're looking for like him, I'm gonna say him, but him or her, if you're looking for him to be like, yeah, you're right, I am this way, like I understand why you're leaving, like that's not going to be. And if it's something like me, I'm that girl being told over and over again, who's going to want you? Seriously, who's going to want you? You have 2 kids now. Like who would want you? Who's going to put up with you and those kids now? Things like that, which messes with your mind, because then you're like, oh gosh, he is right. Like, yeah, I did just have a baby. Yeah, I have 10 extra pounds on my body. Like who, it does mess with you, that stuff like that. So I totally get it. Been there, done it. Also, so if you're in that kind of a situation too, if it's anything like me, you're not going to get any support from his family. It's going to be worse. It's going to be things like they're going to just enable him, basically. They'll know things are going on. They've seen it with their own eyes. They're going to deny it, make you feel crazy. Yeah. So just stay strong. Know you're way stronger than you even know. Like that was something that was so cool about watching this, is like being able to watch it, not like get heavily triggered like I usually would, like usually watch this stuff and I have to like pause it or leave the room or whatever, but it's just crazy seeing like where you used to be to where you are now. So you're way stronger than
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing if we would have watched this before you were introduced to energy healing, probably like 2 years ago, this would have been hard to watch. And if you're dealing with it now, it's hard to watch. Or if you've been in that relationship and you haven't done any personal healing for yourself, whether it's prayer, energy healing, or just there's all these different ways you can kind of heal, then this could be triggering, which is interesting. I don't want you to look at it like this is triggering and I need to turn it off. It's more like this is triggering, I need work. And then I this isn't who I am. I mean, when you were born, it doesn't say you will be triggered by watching a movie about abuse. Like there's no stamp on your head. That was all programmed. You going through your situation. So you can unprogram yourself. You guys, some people used to get afraid of that word brainwash, but sometimes our brain needs a wash, And so something that I want to share too is that something that I admire about this is that, and mothers and fathers can do this, is that the TLC song goes off. Do you guys remember that part? TLC song goes off, and then she's just like, stupid radio, like, you know, and the girl loves singing that, the daughter. And what was interesting is that she says, oh, don't worry, I'll just improvise. And she started rapping it. It really touched my heart, because the reality is mothers and fathers, we just have a way of improvising when we have lack thereof. And it's beautiful that it's like, and I was just telling her, I think it was the second episode, I don't want to ruin it, but the second episode, I was telling her, I kind of paused and I said, isn't it amazing that this child doesn't know whether she's rich or not? She doesn't know that she's going through all this because the mother has protected her and put her in a certain bubble to say, like, I'm going to keep your brain safe because mine is going through volatile situations, but you don't need to go through this. I thought that was really powerful. So we could, if you're going through that right now, learn from this woman who in this video is basically keeping her child mentally safe. You know, and obviously there might be a time to be like, this is what's going on. I know Jess has experience with that. You know, kind of like let them know what's really going on without being hostile and antagonistic towards the other person, but just so they kind of understand a little bit.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
It's when kids are bringing things up to you. They're noticing things. Like, they're noticing things. I'm not going to give examples, but they'll notice things and they ask me about it. And so I would say, like, gosh, how long has it been? So 6-7 years ago, I would totally almost be in that enablement bubble with his family. Just like, oh, no, he didn't mean that. Like, no, he loves you. You know, and yes, he does love them and things like that, but that's not love. You know what I mean? Like, he does love them, but sometimes the way he shows it, I want to let the kids know when they bring it to my attention, ask me about things, that's not love. You know, like being told certain things, or, yeah, I'm not even going into details, but so I think that's important sometimes, is to, like, you don't want your kids to think watching certain things is healthy and normal. Otherwise, that cycle is just gonna repeat itself.
Yeah, because like you're basically excusing their behavior, and then the kids will be, oh, if you're excusing their behavior, you'll excuse my behavior if I do something similar in the future. So
yeah, so there's a way to respectfully do it where you're not just like bad mouthing, talk, like, you know, you don't need to do that. Like, it can just be done respectfully. So
one of the things that I noticed that she has is, it's obviously that she has PTSD from the attacks. The way that directors show PTSD in movies is you'll just see 2 seconds of something, and then it kind of flashes off, and then you can see she's kind of like in a daze a little bit. And then if you notice, when the lady was interviewing her, it's like all of a sudden this little flash will come back, but then she's like,
oh yeah,
oh hey, you know. So it's kind of like she goes back in time for a quick second. Literally, it's like she's not even there anymore. You go back in time and you come back, and then you're like, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, I'm getting interviewed, you know. And what's interesting is that there is something in the body code that I work with called memory fields. Okay, so I want you guys to picture like little clouds of memories. And what's really interesting that I've noticed with clients that have had kind of years of maybe domestic violence or abuse is that they'll have these memory fields, like these clouds of memories of like the same theme, you know. So, and then what I could even ask, I'll muscle test it using muscle testing. I'll say, you know, I do this long distance. I'll say, what emotion is tied? What's the theme of this memory field? It'll say bitterness or resentment. You know, so it's really interesting that I can do that and then find out, like, it's going to be hard for you to move on with someone else in the future because you have these clouds of resentment or bitterness, and it's easy for you to access those memories.
Right.
Do you want to share something?
No.
Okay. So then also, what's really important is the next thing is the interview of like. Sometimes when you're going through all these really, really hard times, one of the things that I felt that she probably had this thing called the heart wall. And just real quickly, is just all that is trauma. If you're feeling an emotion, usually there's a ball of energy that gets made, and it's supposed to process out of your body, okay? But if it gets stuck in the body, sometimes it'll cover your heart because it's trying to protect your heart from breaking. If it breaks, it's called broken heart syndrome. And most of the reasons why, and I'll say this is probably the number 1 or number 2 reasons why most people stay in a relationship, it's not financial, it's due to numbness of what's going on. So if you build enough walls, here's the sad part, it's almost like if you build enough brick in the bomb shelter, what'll happen is that you won't even feel that you're in an abusive relationship anymore, and you'll keep creating walls, which means it'll increase your numbness, which then will make you stay even longer. So it's kind of like, because you're trying to protect your heart, it's a double-edged sword. The good news, you saved your heart, but then you ruined your life. And so I tell people, I'm like, we got to remove those walls, because once you remove those walls, you'll know, I'm like, I'm in a bad situation right now. I really feel what's going on at the house. I need to get out of here, and you'll take action to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you want to kind of go into your journal now?
Yeah, I just have one more thing to share.
Sure.
I kind of shared it a second ago too, but I could not have watched this like if I hadn't done a ton of body code sessions with you. The theta chamber with Solex, that was amazing. And then the frequencies. There's certain frequencies that our AO scan has to help with trauma, anxiety, tons of beautiful ones, more inner peace, things like that help with mood things and all sorts of different stuff. So if I didn't have all of that, then I wouldn't even be able to talk about it right now, honestly. I know you've seen videos of me before where I'm crying and breaking down and it's hard, but it's crazy that I'm healing.
Yeah, great. And another thing I want to share here is, if you notice there's a couple of notes here and then we'll end here. Real quick, the mother, I wrote, the mother is very eccentric. If you guys noticed that, mother's very eccentric. And one of the things that's very obvious is that she does not listen to her daughter. She walks in there and she's like trying to talk to her, and the mother is so much in her head and so eccentric that it's just like, Mom, are you even there? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, do you understand what situation I'm in? Which can be very, very frustrating. I don't talk about it too much, but some of my clients, one of the reasons why they can't heal is because they have an inner child issue. And inner child, it's almost like a part of your subconscious that's separated from your regular adult subconscious. So it's this little separate version. It's almost like it's like an island compared to your full-on subconscious. That island gets created because you felt unheard or you felt unloved when you were a child. So sometimes you'll split off at 8, or sometimes you'll split off at 11, or split off at 14 age. And that's because you feel like you're not being heard. I don't know what time this girl, this major scene, if she, when she made her inner child, but the point is that we all have one, and it's usually unhappy. If I were to muscle test her right now, say, do you have a happy inner child? Most adults like us don't. You've seen, if you've ever been very reactive, very angry really quickly, or you get, or you get very anxious or nervous, sometimes what that really is at the end of the day is your inner child overreacting, and you're trying to like kind of calm your inner child down. But we all have it. Trust me, all of us in some way or another have felt unheard by our parents. So technically, we all have an unhappy inner child. That's something that you can do in the body code. You can kind of help out too. And the last two things, is that okay? Do we have time for two more things? Two more things. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I want to kind of piggyback off her. There's one thing, like I said, I'm always looking at energy healing. Like, how could this help out? Number one is, he says, I pay all the bills. This is the part, do you remember? He's just going down on her. Yeah, cracking down on her. I pay all the bills, But check this out. There's one that he says is, you will have no one. You will have no one. That could be what they call a post-hypnotic suggestion. So, because in her mind, she'll say, I have no one. That's actually in the body code. Like if I could show you the app right now, it says there that there's a suggestion called I have no one. And in your mind, you'll always think that. Even if you move on to a new relationship, something in your mind, you'll feel like your own little island because you keep telling yourself, I have no one, like no one's here. Even if you get help, like she did with mothers who are, domestic violence, something in the back of her mind is saying, I still have no one. No one can. You don't want to have that because it can cause depression, mood swings, and things like that. But he technically programmed her, because if he kept, I guarantee that's not the first time he's told her, you'll have no one. And like she was saying, they keep saying these words, and they don't know that they're actually hypnotizing you, and your body believes it. So I can, using energy healing, remove those, so that way you don't have that anymore. Last thing I want to share with you is there's an energy called will to be abused or will to suffer. You're probably wondering, what is that? Well, when you have a long period of time where you're being abused, or a long period of time where you're suffering, your body will produce an energy called will tos or no will tos. It's when you're willing to do something or you're not willing to do something for a long period of time. Here's the scary part, is that if once you leave that relationship, you'll still keep the will to energy and the no will to. And these can cause depression, suicide ideation, and you'll wonder, like, what's wrong with me? Like, I just got out of this relationship. Why do I still feel like I'm in it? Why do I still feel depressed? And that's why you'll want to go back to that person, because you still feel that depression. You think that if you go back, that'll make everything better. You forget what they were, how they were to you, you know? But if you remove the will to, then now the next relationship, you'll start out more fresh. You don't have this depression. You don't have this, all those negative thoughts. And so that's very, very key. You need to kind of leave your baggage at the door before you go into a new relationship. And so, again, these are just some notes that we came up with and for the show. I think, you want to check out that link above, or below if it's YouTube. If you are having some serious domestic violence, again, you may not tag your friend because you want to like protect them and stuff like that. But there's ways to let them know. Text them and say, hey, watch this little Facebook thing, or someone that can benefit from this video. We would love to, we'll be connecting with people down there. And feel free to comment below. What's the thing that stood out with what she said? What did I say? Anything that can help you out, feel free to comment. Or if you have ways to help people, feel free to comment below. We just want to kind of put a good positive message out there, and we're going to be doing the second episode very soon and put a little commentary on there. So thanks guys for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.